Cynthia Zeldner. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions, and I have been in the position for 12 years.
Is this the only position you've held at MCC?
No. I started out working with, it was called Tech Prep at the time, and it was now it's College Career Pathways, as the administrator, grants administrator, and I did that for 3 years. And then I had an interim position in the admissions office, and then I was hired full-time.
So all told, how many years have you been with college?
16.
And what was your first contact with college? Did you know of the college, or had you been on campus before you got hired?
I did know about it. I was actually doing an internship at the University of Hartford, and I was looking for a place to intern. And I came here thinking that this would be an environment I would like. And then I also went to the YWCA, which I ended up doing. I ended up doing an internship there and working there for about 6 years with youth programs. And then I found that the position open here. It was a part-time, grants funded, and so I wanted to come.
Now, when you were working in the tech prep area, who were some of the people you were working with?
I worked with, whoever was working in certain areas, culinary arts, Jane Pearson. I worked with Donna Nicholson in criminal justice. So the programs where we had tech prep programs, I worked primarily with those departments.
And was Robert Henderson involved in this at that time?
He wasn't, not as actively as he is now. No, he wasn't supervising it. But mostly, I had the grant. I sent out RFPs to see who wanted to, who was interested in doing programming so they could get money through the grant. And we did a lot with bringing high school students on campus and doing programs for them.
And what made you decide to move into the admissions area?
I just did some volunteering in admissions. Actually, I took my oldest daughter on a college search trip. We were down south, and I was at the College of Charleston, wonderful school in South Carolina. And we were greeted by this woman. We hadn't made an appointment or anything, and she was wonderful. And she was so welcoming, and, and I thought, that is a job I'd like to do. I like young people, and I like that whole, the greeting that she gave us. So that was my introduction to an admissions office.
So obviously, in your current job, you have a lot of interaction with students and potential students.
And parents, and a lot with high school guidance counselors. A lot with different agencies. But we have guidance counselors come on campus twice a year just to give them information about our new programs, services, sort of the philosophy of the college. We've talked a lot about our access and success. And we give them a chance to see what's new in the college. We usually have about 25 guidance counselors from area high schools. And we also I do information sessions for college planning nights at the different high schools, Rockville, Rocky Hill, Manchester, Glastonbury. And I just go out and talk about the whole process and we usually represent the 12 community colleges. Instead of having Capital and Tungus all at one meeting, we usually go out there and represent the 12 community colleges.
In the 12 years you've been in admissions, has the perception or the image of the college changed in terms of how the community looks at us?
It's interesting because when I first started, we never went out to Glastonbury High School because they said students aren't going to MCC from Glastonbury, although more students come here than go to UConn directly out of Glastonbury High. And we started going out, and now I go out at least a couple of times a year just to talk to small groups of students, and then we go out for the parent night. So I would definitely say, the schools that ask us out, Farmington and South Windsor, schools that really felt that their students were going out to the four-year colleges and they didn't really need as much information from community college. That has radically changed. Conard High School is one that, and Hall High School in West Hartford, are going, even though that's out of our service area, they want us to come out and talk about the community college. And a lot of it is for transfer students, but not necessarily. And I think that perception from high school guidance counselors, certainly the facilities have helped us. When I first started, we had the little trailers. I would go into the TV studio and we'd have to go one at a time because it was so small. So certainly the facilities have helped us promote our image of the college. But I just think our reputation has really expanded, and certainly people perceive us as we're a college.
So let me ask you a question that I'm sure you deal with. For what type of student or what types of students is MCC a good option?
I don't know any student that MCC wouldn't be good for. We have high-achieving students who are getting 700 and 800 on their SATs. And they're coming here, and maybe for those students, they didn't get financially the scholarship they were looking for. So they're coming here, doing very, very well, and going on to wherever they want to go. If they want to go to Boston College, or they want to go to Trinity College, Wesleyan, University of Hartford, they go on. So that student, I think, is here primarily because they realize the value, that they can take all their classes here, and they're certainly going to be successful. Those students will be successful wherever they go. For those students who are economically looking for more value, perhaps saving that money the first 2 years, and then want to transfer to Eastern or UConn or another school, this is a very viable option. And more parents know about us, and so they're encouraging their students to do their first 2 years at MCC, and then you can go anywhere. It used to be those students who couldn't get into a four-year college would have MCC as a safety school. We're really a school of choice now for a lot of those students. They're coming to MCC, they know what path they're on, they're going to do MCC, and then they're going to go on to a four-year school. But a lot of our students are coming here interested in health careers. They want to complete a degree program and then go out and get a good job. They do that whether they're in computers, in different areas, criminal justice, health careers. And then there are students who, those are the ones I really like to go out and talk to, who don't think that college is in their future. And then when they hear, one of our first messages is, we are open access. If you apply to the college, show them the one-page application, two-sided one-page application, and that we don't look at their SATs or their grades. You can see it in their eyes that they say, wait a minute, I could come to MCC. And we have a number of those students who didn't know that college was in their future. So some of them have to work a little harder initially, but many of them are willing to do that because now they see college in their future.
Are you also involved with students who have been at another college and are transferring to MCC?
A lot. We have thousands of transcripts from other colleges. I actually had one from Harvard last week. UConn students who maybe find, for whatever reason, they're not doing well at UConn, and it's recommended they come to the community college and do their first 2 years. We have, as I say, students transferring from all over, students who have bachelor's degrees, like a student I had today, and now she wants to go into paralegal studies. So she's going to see how many courses will transfer into paralegal so she could get that degree. A number of students come here because they've lost their financial aid and they can't afford it. They went to school too far away from their parents, and they realize that with their parents that they want to come back home for a while. But we have a number of students coming in the summer and taking 1 or 2 courses. They're not truly transfer students, but they've come from another institution here. But probably, I don't know, 20% might be transfer students now because we have a lot of people coming here.
Now, are you also involved with students who attend MCC or get a degree from MCC and then want to transfer to a baccalaureate institution?
We do. Primarily, we refer them to Robert Turner, counselor who works with transfer students, because some schools still are very specific about what courses they transfer. And we used to have, the community colleges used to have a reputation that those courses won't transfer. So we don't want that to happen to students. We want that smooth transition to the four-year schools. So we make recommendations, but directly I don't work with students transferring on.
Okay. Can you think of any success stories? I mean, I know globally you can, but perhaps a student who came in here rather shaky and unsure and moved through MCC and went on to another higher educational institution.
Eli Arzola, who works in the admissions office, is an EA. He came to MCC from Manchester High School. He remembers that I was the first person he met here, and his high school guidance counselor told him that not to think about college because that was not in his future. So he was probably here taking courses for maybe 5 years math was really a struggle for him. So he went for tutoring, and he started working in our office, and he does tours. He's fabulous. He's getting his degree at Central this December, and he's going to go on. He wants to go into school counseling. So and that's not unusual. That's something that I could tell you start to finish because I've worked with him individually. But we see so many students who the light just goes on, and they see, I can do this. And he's wonderful for students because he has that experience. Yeah, he's great.
Can you remember any particularly funny, humorous incidents involving students or their parents coming and meeting with you?
Well, certainly the parent who says everything and the student doesn't say anything. The student sits there texting while the parent asks all the questions. It's the proverbial, helicopter parent. And the student could be anywhere because they're not listening at all to what's going on. What was it? We certainly do have some funny stories. And we enjoy some of the students who come in. One who every semester is changing he's an adult student, and he decides to change his major. So we think that he's accumulating certificates and degrees, but he wants to have everything reevaluate each semester because he's starting in a new path. So we have a lot of students doing starting on different pathways, but he's especially one who's challenged us. If I had known this in advance, I would have, because we do have some good stories.
Okay. I think those are most of the questions that I had. Chuck?
No, I was just thinking, this is probably not inappropriate, it doesn't fit, that I remember way back when we came in the 60s, to avoid the drought, many students enrolled, and we would end up with a classroom of empty seats because they just never showed.
Yeah.
Is that a problem now? I would assume not. But
It isn't. We do have a number of veterans. Actually, a couple of years ago, we had people being deployed. Yeah. But now there's a lot of regulations about if students are in the military, they can go to any community college in the area. They don't have to live in the state. It was an in-state, out-of-state tuition issue, and that's changed. And now we have the Oasis Center, too, for veterans, which is wonderful support. But we don't have that kind of drop in and drop out the way you had it a few years ago.
I was even thinking of the students that we were talking about. This has now become the first choice. Mm-hmm. There were a number of students who enrolled, conditional that they didn't go somewhere else. I wondered if there was. I'm assuming you're saying
we have a. Well, go ahead.
No.
We have a lot of students applying to the college, and for some of them, it is that safety school. Yeah. They apply to MCC, they do the assessment test, or they submit their SATs, and if they don't get the financial aid, or they, whatever else they need to go to the four-year school. So it is a safety school for a lot of students because it's a $20 application fee. It's not $75 the way it is for UConn, So they said they'll put that in, and then they are guaranteed they'll be going. And then they call us and say, yes, I really do want to go to MCC.
Can the student enroll online now?
They can apply online. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they do have to do an assessment test or submit SATs, and then they have to meet with an advisor in order for them to register. But they can register online once they've gotten through the process.
Good. I think that's it.
Okay.
That's great.
Thanks.
Thank you.